Hey guys, I'm Eric with Painting Business Pro. In this video, we're gonna talk about how to start a painting business in 2024 as a side hustle. So if you've got a full-time job, but you wanna start this business, this video is for you. I get this question all the time because I've helped literally thousands of people now start a painting business over the last decade that I've been doing Painting Business Pro. I also run my own painting business to this day. We do over $17 million a year in business through our companies and still coach hundreds of painting contractors through our programs. So let's dive in. First, I want to talk about why you'd want to start a painting business because that's the most important question to be asking first. And I think there's 6 main reasons why you would want to start a painting business out of all the business opportunities out there. The first one is the size of the industry. Annual paint sales is about $30 billion per year. That's just the paint and the product itself, which means that the coating and application services, the actual service companies like the one you'll be starting, are doing over $100 billion a year, roughly, in revenue, meaning this is an absolutely gigantic industry. So there's so much business out there and you need a tiny, tiny little slice of the pie to build a great company or a great income on the side. Second reason is competition. The competition in this business is very low. There's a lot of competitors, but there's not a lot of competition because when you enter this business, all you have to do is be better than the other people that are already in this business. And that's how you win some of the business. We just need to be able to market and generate potential clients. That's not very hard to do. There's a lot of ways to do that. Then we need to turn those clients into paying clients. And that's not hard to do because we just got to be better than who's already out there. And a lot of who's already out there still don't show up on time, still don't have professionalism, still don't do what they say they're gonna do. It still blows my mind to see how business owners operate their businesses, treat their clients, and treat their employees to this day. It's not hard to be better than the competition. Number 3, it's pretty low startup cost. All right, you can get a painting company started for almost nothing. I started my painting business in 2010 for literally $200. I was out of pocket $200 before I brought in the first money to my business. I made $4,000 in profit in my first month working part-time as a side hustle. All right, so you can still do exactly what I did in 2010. You can do the exact same thing today. So there's not a lot of businesses that you can start as cheaply as you can start a painting business. Which I think is a great opportunity for someone who's starting a business, is if I can get in for less, I can make money faster, and that's the goal. 4th good reason to start a painting business is it's basically recession proof. There's always gonna be recessions and economic downturns and ups and downs in the economy. Painting business is pretty consistent and steady no matter what's happening in the economy. There's a Harvard study done that looked at home improvement services in 2008, 2009, and what it found was that the average home improvement company was down 17%, which might sound like a lot if you're looking at a painting business, but then they found when they looked deeper, the really high ticket stuff, remodeling, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, basement remodeling, the stuff that was really expensive, the stuff that you need to take out home equity lines of credit for, that's what was really down a lot. And then the lower ticket stuff like painting wasn't down so much. All right, so it doesn't take a huge dip. Instead of not painting, kicking the can down the road and selling my house, like crap, I'm not gonna sell my house, I guess we gotta paint it. And so we see not a huge impact from economic downturns on the painting industry. Next up is AI. So reason number 5 is AI is a real thing. It is coming. It's going to be very disruptive to certain industries, less disruptive to others. And I think the painting industry and generally the home service industry, it's going to be less disruptive too. There will certainly be AI tools and products that will be used and implemented within this business, but it's not going to displace this business like it will in some other businesses. So I think that's really important because it's hard to keep up with technology if you don't have capital to keep up with technology, and I don't think that's going to be a big issue in this particular industry. And then number 6 is the business just isn't going anywhere, which I think is super important because if you're going to start a side hustle, you're going to start a business, the reason you start a business is not because you're gonna start making all this money next week. I think anybody who has reasonable expectations for starting a business knows that I'm starting it not for the money I'm gonna make in year 1, maybe not even for the money I'm gonna make in year 2, but because I'm building a business that now I own, that now is an asset that's making me more and more money and giving me more and more freedom and control of my time. And so the key with building a successful business is sticking with it. And the painting business is still gonna be here in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. if you start it now. So it's not going anywhere. Every house, every building needs to be painted inside and out over and over and over, and every new building that's being built needs to be painted inside and out over and over and over. So now you gotta make the real decision, are you gonna start a business or not? Once you have decided to start a business, now we move on to step 2, which is the logistics. There's the logistics of actually starting a company. I remember when I started my business, it was the first business I ever started, and I was pretty confused about what do I need to do to start a business? Like, I didn't know everything I had to do. I have to register the business with the state. I gotta get an EIN number. I gotta register a bank account. I have to get insurance, workers' comp, logo, website, basic marketing and sales materials. And that's pretty much the list of what I've gotta get to start this business. Even when I did all those things, I wasn't sure if I did everything I needed to do, and I was unsure, was I missing something? And so I've put together a startup checklist, so it's gonna be in the description below this video. You can just click it. It's totally free. It's a 29-page guide on how to start a painting business so that you know that you've done everything you need to do and you haven't missed anything or left anything out, and there's nothing you have to do that's not on that list. So you'll just know and have certainty that you set up the business the right way. In that guide, we'll also go through what you shouldn't do. All right, one of the biggest mistakes, for example, that people do is they go and overinvest in things that they don't need to. I might wrap a van, buy a truck, buy equipment. No. You don't need to do any of that. Stop. Let us help you not spend money on things you don't need to. That's what we're here to do, is to educate you on the fastest, most efficient, most cost-effective way to start a business and start making profits. That's what that guide is for. So you can click the link below, and that'll tell you exactly what to do to set up the business so that you're ready to conduct business. All right, so finally we've reached the point in the video where we're gonna talk about how do you actually start this business as a side hustle. So now that we've decided we're gonna start this business and we've done the logistical setup of this business, now we're gonna talk about getting your first job and painting your first house. And how do you actually do this on the side until you can do it full time? So the best way to talk about this would be to talk about how are we gonna build this business if you didn't do it as a side hustle, just how would you do it? And then we'll talk about, all right, what are you gonna tweak about that process to make it a side hustle? All right, so here's how we start the business. We've gotta market ourselves to get our first potential customers. We've gotta do estimates and win some of those jobs to get paying customers. And then we need to get those houses painted, done well, profitably. All right, so it's marketing, sales, and we'll call it production or project management. When I started my business, I started it very part-time. I went out and I knocked on doors. I had my friend Faith and we went out for 3 hours into a neighborhood. We knocked on doors and said, knock, knock, knock. Hey, how's it going? I'm Eric. I'm with Foothills Painting. I noticed you had some peeling paint up here, so I just want to put you down for a free estimate. And in those 3 hours, we had 11 people say, yes, I'd like an estimate. 6 of them actually got an estimate scheduled with me. And out of those 6, I booked 5 of those jobs. 3 of them were pretty small little touch-up jobs that I thought I could do myself. I got some basic equipment and I did them myself in 3 days, about a half a day each. And then 2 of the jobs were full houses. I didn't have the equipment to do it myself, so I recruited a subcontractor. All right, so a subcontractor is a business owner. They already own a business. It's a registered business with insurance, with equipment. They usually have a lot of painting experience, and sometimes they have other crew members. And I said, hey, I've got this job. It's $3 grand. I'll pay you $1,800 to do it. Sound good? And they say, yeah, sounds good. And once the job is done, the client is happy and we get paid, I deposit that check and then I pay them. All right, so there's no money out of pocket for me and I make money, and that's how we subcontract our first job. All right, so that's literally how you get this business started. You market to get your first potential customers, sell the first job, and then utilize a subcontractor to do your first job. This way you don't need to buy all the equipment, you don't need to hire employees, you don't need to train employees, you don't need to make sure that you've got consistent work for employees. You can literally just like start side hustling to get your first leads, book your first job, and then when you get them, have your first subcontractor do the job for you, and you pocket the profit, set it into a nest egg. Once we've got our first job, because you're doing this on the side, then we're gonna just do this same process again to get your second job, and then your third job, and then your fourth job, and you're gonna keep pocketing the profit until you can consistently get enough leads to do about 3 or 4 estimates a week, which means, maybe an estimate a day, Monday through Thursday, or 4 estimates out on a Saturday. Of those 4 estimates, you're booking maybe 1 to 2 jobs. maybe 6,000 in total sales. You have one subcontractor who's producing that every week for 6,000. And this person you slowly build this relationship with where you can trust them. Maybe you check in every morning before work, or you check in at the end of the day, or you check in at lunch on the project, make sure it's going good. And you can do those numbers, 4 estimates, 6 grand in business, and maybe make about 2,000 in profit. You can do those numbers in 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week, part-time. Not bad considering you're making $2,000 a week in profit. Do that consistently for 8 weeks, 10 weeks. So now you've set aside $16,000 to $20,000 of profit. That's your nest egg. And now you're like, hey, I'm consistent with these numbers. If I had 40 more hours available, could I invest more in marketing and instead of 4 estimates a week, do 7, instead of 6,000 a week, do 10, and instead of 2,000 a week in profit, do 3 to 4. That's when you make the switch, because you've got a nest egg, you've got consistency, and you already know where you're gonna invest into marketing to turn this into a full-time gig and leave whatever you were doing full-time before. Or you could always just keep this as a side hustle, but there's just so much opportunity in this business that I think it makes sense to make that transition and make it full-time for most people. So then the question is, when do you go from it's a side hustle to I go full-time? And that's gonna be different for everybody depending on how much money you make at your full-time gig. So if you're making 100 grand a year at your full-time gig, once you're consistently making 2,000 a week in profit on your painting business, you're basically matching your full-time income, 40 hours a week, with your part-time income, 12 hours a week. So you could just quit the job and you're there. You've replaced the income, but you've just got more time, and then you can obviously grow it from there. If you're making 60,000 a year, that's what you need to replace. Once you're making 1,500 a week consistently, you could leave the job. So I think you got to look at how much you make at your full-time job, and then how much do you want to have in your nest egg, and how much do you want to be doing consistently on the side to feel comfortable going all in. And that's more of a risk tolerance question for people than like, here's the answer. It also depends on how certain you are that you can grow your marketing. The one thing I would say is you probably don't want to leave the job at the tail end of the season. You'd probably want to leave your job when it's ramping up. So in most markets, this business is slower November through January and starts really picking up, February through October. Okay, so now let's talk about what do you do from there? So now you're running this business full time, and how do we actually scale this business to achieve the real goal of starting a business, which is to create freedom. To create freedom, you need to have a team in place that runs the day-to-day so that you don't have to. And so your business needs to be big enough to afford that team and still make good profit, which for me is around $1 million a year in business with an office manager, a sales rep, a project manager, and bringing in about $200,000 a year in profit. All right, so that's the goal. So how do we get there? Well, we do it in 2 phases. Phase 1 is building the foundation. Phase 2 is building your team. So phase 1, this is where you're building a strong foundation in your business. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the estimates, you're managing the projects. It all falls on you. You should be able to build your business to about $500,000 to $600,000 a year in revenue, with about $150,000 to $160,000 a year in profit, working about a 40-hour week, 10 months out of the year. Not bad, pretty good gig right there. But somewhere around $600,000 a year is where you can't really grow the business much more by yourself unless you just start working more hours. But that's not the reason you started a business. You started it to actually get more hours back. So once you hit certain benchmarks in phase 1, where we can say you have a healthy foundation to build your team, then we build the team. We hire and train a project manager to oversee the crews, the clients, quality control, profitability. We hire an estimator to do the quotes, hire an office manager to handle all the admin, and that's phase 2. And then your job is still to make sure the marketing is there, which grows the business. From there, you now have a launch pad to kind of do whatever you want. You've got a lot of time where you might only work 10 to 20 hours a week. You're making good income. So now what are you gonna do? Do you wanna grow that business further and double that income and grow the team a little bit? Do you wanna go into real estate investing? Do you wanna invest? Do you wanna travel? Like, the whole point, that's where you've reached the real goal of building the painting business, I think, is you've created a launch pad into what's next. You've created a great business that's not going anywhere, that creates great cash flow and gives you the lifestyle to pursue what you want next. So that's the real process of going from I'm not in business to I want to start this, to setting it up, to getting your first job, to ramping up more consistency, to leaving your job, and then phase 1 and phase 2 to scale that. And typically, the people I've worked with over the years who really follow our coaching and follow our program can do that and get to that $1 million benchmark in two years is the shortest usually, and then 3 or 4 years if you're following the program to get to those numbers. And then I have many people who have gone beyond that to 2 million, 3 million, even $5 million per year in business because this industry is huge and there's a ton of opportunity for it. So we've got a lot of resources for you to help you do this. Like I said below the video, there's a startup checklist that you can click on that's free, that will help you with everything and a lot of the stuff I just went through, but also all the logistics. There's also gonna be estimating guides posted below this video that are free. That will show you how do you estimate and come up with prices on projects. We also have a whole bunch of resources on our YouTube channel, which you can check out. We've got stuff on our website for free, which you can check out. And if you're someone who you're like, just give me the best stuff that you have to offer, we have a training program that includes coaching, community, webinars, every single system, step by step, like follow this to a T. So we've got an amazing program that can help you do this as well, which you can check out on our website. So that's all I got. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to respond. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and good luck starting your business and making this happen. And again, if you got questions, let me know. See you soon.